देखो लॉग इन करके देखो आवाज आ रही है. हेलो. हरे कृष्ण हिमांशु.
हरे कृष्णा रजत, क्या हाल चाल?
बस बढ़िया. बस we'll wait for Shobit for 2 minutes and then start.
ठीक है.
Any questions from last time? Last discussion.
नहीं, लास्ट टाइम का कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है.
Hare Krishna से Shobit Prabhu. Am I audible to you, Sir Shobit Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna से Shobit Prabhu. Am I audible? Okay, I hope I'm audible. Just a second. Okay, we'll start now. So first of all, we'll offer gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, and I'm very happy that both of you are here for this discussion on chapter 1. So we'll start offering the Mangalacharan, invoking the blessings of the Acharyas. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swamrupagadamayyam Dadati Sapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinubandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanto Namastate Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchagalputrobhyascha कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna devotees. So is my
हरे कृष्णा.
volume okay? Like, is it low or something?
Volume is perfect.
So today, I hope you devotees are doing good. So today we will start the discussion on first chapter. So first of all, I would like to ask if there is any questions from the last discussion. I would like to take up right now because at the end of this slide, we will take up questions from today's discussion.
I don't have any questions from the last time.
Shishogit Prabhu, any questions?
Just that, Prabhu, the questions that you sent me, the MCQs, would be able to discuss, the answers or...
Sure, Prabhu. After today's discussion, we can discuss.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the overall, so I think you guys are able to see the presentation. So this is the overall flow of the first chapter. So before starting the first chapter, I would like to mention that there were some things which I missed from the introduction because introduction is very big and it covers a lot of content in a very condensed manner of entire Bhagavad Gita. So one thing which I missed was I did not say that why is our book called Bhagavad Gita as it is? So why is the word as it is used? So like any guesses, any answers from both of you?
Because last class you also mentioned that it was written by a devotee. So there are other versions also which were not written by a devotee. So Bhagavad Gita as it is contains the real gist of the real Gita, as it was, given to Arjuna by the Lord Himself. That's my interpretation.
Yeah, very nice. So just to add on what you said, like we already mentioned in the previous discussion, that whatever Bhagavad Gitas are present right now, so most of them are mental concoctions of the author. They don't want to convey what Krishna meant, Krishna wanted to convey to Arjuna, but they are trying to render their own mental speculation. Like this is how they feel the interpretation of the verses. So it is very important to assimilate Bhagavad Gita in the disciplic succession, the knowledge which has been transferred from the acharyas and which has been coming along originally from Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada mentions the name of the book as Bhagavad Gita as it is. As it is means he is just being an instrument and a servant of Krishna. He is just trying to portray what he has been taught by his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Yeah. So this was one thing which we I did not highlight specifically, but we covered it in the content. That like why another Bhagavad Gita is indirectly an answer to this question. Yeah. So now we'll begin with the first chapter. So first chapter broadly comprises of these four sections. So first section, uh, first is the first verse, which Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya that what is happening in the battlefield, and then there is a subsequent section where there is a dialogue happening between Duryodhana and Dronacharya first, and then Duryodhana and Bhishma. So those are the 10 verses. And after these 10 verses, different parties start to blow conch shell because this is a battlefield of Kurukshetra where Mahabharata is starting. So it's not like some cats and dogs are fighting. Vaishnavas are fighting and they are doing it in a very cultured manner. So they are blowing conch shells in a sequential manner. So 8 verses will cover blowing of conch shells by different personalities. So once the conch shells are blown, then, in the subsequent section, from 20th verse to 28th, Arjuna asks Krishna, who is acting as a charioteer for Arjuna. So, we will see that what are the exchanges going on between Arjuna and Krishna, and how Krishna takes the chariot between the battlefield. And there are some internal exchanges also which are going on, which we will cover in this section. And the last section, once the chariot moves into in middle of the battlefield, where on one side Kurus were there and on the other side Pandavas were there, Arjuna could see all his relatives and all his near and dear ones, and even Duryodhana, all the people with whom he had spent the life till now. And because of like while facing these people, there were a lot of thoughts which were coming to Arjuna's mind, a lot of weak-heartedness and material compassion. So based on these feelings, he presented some dilemma points to Krishna, that why he doesn't want to fight, and he gives around 5 reasons. So if we get time, then we will cover the last section, but according to my calculation, like we will not be able to reach the last section. So we will start with the first verse. So, so officially we are starting Bhagavad Gita now. So it's very important to understand some points about Bhagavad Gita. For example, there are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. So 18 is a very auspicious number. There were 18 Akshahonis on the battlefield, and even Mahabharata existed for 18 days, and even like the number of Puranas are also 18. So 18 in a way is very auspicious. And within these 18 chapters, there are generally three sections of chapters, 6 chapters each. So the middle section is the most important and most essential one, which contains the essential teaching of Bhagavad Gita, which is devotional service. So that is the main goal which Krishna wants to teach to the living entities through Bhagavad Gita. And first 6 chapters contains Krishna mentions Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Sankhya Yoga in a brief manner, so that we can gradually connect to Bhakti Yoga in the middle 6 chapters. And again, the last 6 chapters, they give like life in different modes of nature, different modes of renunciation, and different aspects of Jnana Yoga, which are closely linked to Bhakti Yoga, like Purushottam Yoga. So as you see that the middle six chapters are sandwiched between the first six and last six. So it's like so when a king proceeds from one city towards another city in older ages, like 1000 years back, he is always in the middle. The soldiers are in the front, soldiers are in the back who are protecting him, but the king stays in the middle. So similarly, Krishna has protected the principles of confidential devotional service, which is also called Rajvidya, as the middle of the Bhagavad Gita by the first six chapters and last six chapters. Yeah. So now we will like start our discussion on the first verse. So first verse, you can like open the Bhagavad Gita and we will recite from that. धृतराष्ट्रोवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सव मामका पाण्डवश्चैव किम् अकुर्वत Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So, do you guys have Bhagavad Gita, both of you?
Yes, we have got it open.
Okay, and Himanshu, do you also have?
Yes, yes, I have. I've opened the page 43.
Okay, okay. So now we will read the second last paragraph of this verse, which starts from the word Dharmakshetra. Himanshu, are you able to see that? Dharmakshetra?
Yes, yes, I've
Okay.
opened it.
So just the another page, I think 44th page will contain this starting of the paragraph.
Okay.
The word Dharmashetra, a place where religious rituals are performed, is significant because on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present on the side of Arjuna. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was highly doubtful about the possibility of his son's ultimate victory. In his doubt, he inquired from his secretary Sanjaya, what did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of his younger brother Pandu were assembled in that field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of the war. Still, his inquiry is significant. He did not want a compromise between the cousins and brothers, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. Because the battle was arranged to be fought at Kurukshetra, which is mentioned elsewhere in the Vedas as a place of worship, even for the denizens of heaven, Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that this would influence Arjuna and the sons of Pandu favorably, because by nature they were all virtuous. Sanjaya was a student of Vyasa, and therefore, by the mercy of Vyasa, Sanjaya was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra, even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra. And so, Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation on the battlefield. So, this paragraph covers the entire context which Prabhupada wants to build and the information which was not directly conveyed through the words. So one point is like Dharmakshetre Kurukshetra. So this Dharmakshetra word is used for Kurukshetra because it is a very, very auspicious place. In the Vedic civilization, many ritualistic activities used to happen in Kurukshetra. And that's why Dhritarashtra has an insecurity and weak-heartedness inside his heart that this auspicious place will indirectly benefit Pandavas because Pandavas are devotees and auspicious things act in a subtle manner in the positive sense for devotees. So as you can see on the slide, Dhritarashtra had attachments for his sons. That's why he asked this question that what did my sons do? Which is not a very intelligent question because it's so everybody is on the battlefield. What will they do? They will be arranged and they will be preparing themselves for the battle. So it was not a very like intelligent question, but still he asked it because of his attachments and insecurity. And like Dhritarashtra was one of the main persons because of which Mahabharata happened because he was very attached to his sons and because of which he could not heed on to the desire of Pandavas. Pandavas just wanted 5 villages. so that they can start their administration, because by dharma they were kshatriyas, so they needed some kingdom uh, whom they can rule over, whom they can administer. So even after returning from the exile, so Duryodhana wanted to kill Pandavas in various ways, like the Lakshakra incident and the gambling match arranged. So all these incidents are, we will see in the subsequent slide, that how Duryodhana was very much envious of Pandavas, and Duryodhana wanted to bring down Pandavas. That's why, like, Duryodhana did not give even those 5 villages which Pandavas wanted after coming back from exile. And Dhritarashtra had that power of attorney to even override Duryodhana, because Dhritarashtra was the father of Duryodhana. But because of his attachments to his sons, he did not tell his sons to resolve the conflict right then and there, and instead the battle happened because of the attachments of Dhritarashtra. So he was blind both spiritually and materially. And like you devotees must be knowing about Gandhari. Like, she was a very powerful lady, and according to Vedic scripture, whatever husband does, the wife should follow it, and whatever qualifications husband have, the wife should also, wife's qualification should be subset of those qualifications. That's why Gandhari also agreed to put the blindfold on his eyes for his entire life. So Dhritarashtra was devoid of Atma Tattva. Atma Tattva means that spiritual energy, that vital force in the soul. And that vital force develops by association of devotees. So even if you see in Bhagavatam, Vidura returns from his pilgrimage to meet Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra was just living like a dog in the house of Yudhishthira. So Vidura chastised Dhritarashtra like anything. So Vidura is a very, very saintly person. He is Yamraj himself. Yamraj is one of the Mahajanas. So by association of Vidura, Dhritarashtra got purified, and even Dhritarashtra got liberated by the chastisement of Vidura. So by sadhu sangha, we can rejuvenate our Atma Tattva. And similar thing happened with Dhritarashtra. We will see in Bhagavatam maybe after Bhagavad Gita finishes. And the last thing, which Prabhupada just mentioned in the paragraph, that Sanjaya had the mercy of Vyasadeva to envision the battlefield. So it's a very important principle that in spiritual life, mercy of Guru matters a lot. It's everything is based on the empowerment of the Guru, that the disciple is able to do so many things in his spiritual life and even in the material world. So Sanjaya, that's why Dhritarashtra also knows that Sanjaya is empowered by Vyas. That's why he is asking him that. Yeah, so we'll move to the next slide. So that was the first verse. Now we will cover the from the second verse to 19th verse, how Duryodhana is manipulating Dronacharya and Bhishmadev, and what arguments he is giving to both of them. So now we'll recite from Bhagavad Gita. So third verse will start. Pashyetam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudam Drupada Tav Shishyena Dhimata. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. So, has anybody heard about Drishtadumna Drupada among two of you? Devotees?
Drishtidhyum I've heard, but I don't know the significance of them.
Okay.
And Drupad also, the name is like, I've heard the name, but I don't know the concept behind him.
Sure. So this verse, like Duryodhana is directly asking, directly telling Dronacharya, that these phalanxes of Pandavas have been very, very intelligently arranged by the son of Drupada. So son of Drupada was Drishtadyumna, and Drupada was a very, very close friend to Dronacharya in his very beginning days. So these are the Gurukul days, where Dronacharya and Drupada were very close friends, and they were taught spiritual lessons and given spiritual training together. So they had a lot of affection among each other. And Drishtadumna, sorry, Dronacharya asked for, because Dronacharya was very very poor and he was a Brahmana, and Drupada was a Kshatriya, so he was very rich and he had a lot of kingdom. So in the affection between two of them in the Gurukul, Drupada just told like that I will give you some portion of kingdom. I promise you that I will give once our spiritual training gets over. So these were the early Gurukul days. So when these Gurukul days were finished, Dronacharya and Drupada they went out, and Dronacharya became a Brahmana, and he started delivering the military trainings to Pandava, and Drupada became a very aristocratic king of the kingdom because he was a Kshatriya. And one day, and Dronacharya was very very poor, and his name was Ashwathama, and Ashwathama never drank milk. So Dronacharya one day went to Drupada and he reminded Drupada of his promise that you should like you should give some portion of kingdom to me because I'm very very poor. But somehow like uh, as Providence was there, and Drupada was not in a very good mood and he was in a superiority complex. He just refused Dronacharya's request. And actually, Dronacharya asked only for a cow. He did not want anything else because there was a lot of land at that time during Mahabharata, and Dronacharya only needed a cow to feed Ashwatthama milk. So after like Drupada refused the request, Dronacharya was very angry, and while he was training the Pandavas, he asked Arjuna that we should now go to Drupada and defeat Drupada, and like asked for a portion of kingdom after defeating him. So then Yudhishthir said, no, no, don't send Arjuna. Arjuna is very dear to me, and I am the eldest one. I will go and defeat Drupada. But then again, Dronacharya told Yudhishthir of Drupada's mightiness, that he is a very good warrior and it will be very difficult for Yudhishthir to defeat Drupada. So Arjuna went, he defeated Drupada, and then Drupada gave a small portion of kingdom to Dronacharya. So after this incident, Drupada was very, very very, very disappointed by the fight, and that's why he like committed a sacrifice. And out of that sacrifice, both Draupadi and Drupada was born. So one Drupada is this one who has arranged the Pandavas' phalanxes, and he is on Pandavas' side. And during the sacrifice only, the boon was given to Drupada that Drupada will also be the cause of death of uh, Dronacharya. So Dronacharya knew all this. So in spite of this, being a liberal Brahmana, Dronacharya trained Drupada in military science. So Duryodhana, if you see very very carefully, that in the first three words he is saying, "Oh my teacher," and then he's pointing his own teacher that please take care of this Drupada, because Drupada, who has been trained by you, the same person has arranged the armies for the enemy. So don't commit similar mistakes in the future. So first of all, we don't speak like this to superiors. So it's very, very derogatory. The person from whom you have received the descended mercy, you are like manipulating the same person. So this is very, very against the spiritual principles. So yeah, so we'll continue reciting from there. Atrishura. So this is the fourth verse. अत्रशूरा महेश्वासा भीमा अर्जुन समायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथा. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada. So right now he is just trying to parameterize the strength of enemies. Duryodhana is telling Dronacharya all these things. Drishtaketus धृष्टकेतुश्चेकितना काशीराज च वीरवान् पुरुजित कुन्तिभोजश्च सैभ्यश्च नरपङ्गवान्. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kuntibhoja and Sabya. युधामन्युश्च विक्रान्ता उत्तमौजश्च वीर्यवान् सुभद्रो द्रौपदेयश्च सर्व एव महारथा. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. So till now, Duryodhan is trying to trying to gain an estimate of the strength of the enemy, and he is telling the same to the Dronacharya. अस्माकं तु विशिष्टये तानि बोधाद्विजोत्तमा नायका माम सैन्यस्य संज्ञार्थं तन्ब्रवीमि ते. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So now Duryodhana starts self-boasting and telling the details of the strength of his own army. So right now Duryodhana is just trying to motivate Dronacharya. He just wants to make sure that Drona, because of attachment of Dronacharya for Pandavas, he does not retrieve back in the middle of the battle. भवान् भीष्मश्च कर्णश्च कृपश्च समितिञ्जः अश्वत्थामा विकर्णश्च सामदित्यस्तथैव च. There are personalities like you, Bhishmadev, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. So all these names are indirectly somehow linked with Dronacharya. And if you see carefully, Drona has mentioned Dronacharya in the very beginning. U word has been used in the very starting. So Dronacharya is a Brahmana and Bhishma is a Kshatriya. So that is the hierarchy which always is followed. Yeah. So now we will see that how Duryodhana is interacting with Bhishmadev and he is trying to manipulate and motivate Bhishmadev also. So because he wants to make sure that Bhishmadev doesn't rebel in between the battle. Because Bhishmadev also has soft corners for Pandavas because he has been very closely associated with them. So the next verse is, and like in the next two verses also, Duryodhana is just trying to like tell about his own army. So let's read the 10th verse now. अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्म अभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्वदिदमेतेषां बलं भीम अभिरक्षितम्. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. One more verse. So the 11th verse starts the blowing of the conch shells. So, like I will read this verse, then I will summarize this slide, and then we will do a small discussion. अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागं वस्थिता भीष्मम् एव विरक्षन्तु भावन्तः सर्व एव हि. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. तस्य संजनयान हर्षं कुरु वृद्धा पितामह सिंहानदं विनाद्योच्य शंखं दद्मौ प्रतातपवान्. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhan joy. So basically, if you see the translation of 10th verse and 11th verse, Duryodhana is manipulating Bhishma Dev very, very carefully. He is telling Bhishma Dev indirectly of his weaknesses and he is trying to motivate him. And he is telling his own armymen also that you should look out to cover for Bhishma Dev, that he can fall at any time. So Bhishma Dev is a very, very, like he is one of the first grandsires of Kuru dynasty and he is very, very elderly. So if you see the 12th verse, Kuru Vriddha word is used for Vishwadev. Tasya Sanjana Harsham Kuru Vriddha Pitamaha. So as you must have, devotees must have heard that Pitamaha word is also used for Vishwadev. and Kuru Vridha. Kuru Vridha means he is one of the most elderly in the Kuru dynasty. So Bhishmadev was not happy with the diplomatic and political words of Duryodhan. That's why he immediately blew the conch shell. And there is one more lesson here for us to learn, that when a senior is not happy, when a senior person from whom we have learned spiritual life, or we have associated with him, we have taken advantage of his association, he will not say it directly. He will indicate it. He wants his disciple to understand his mood without conveying everything. So some things are conveyed just by indication. So similar thing is done here by Bhishmadev. He immediately blew the conch shell because he was not happy with Duryodhana's arguments. Yeah, so so let's pause a little bit here, and now, Himanshu, as you were saying that Drupada and Drishtadyumna, do you understand that who is Drishtadyumna and who is Drupada?
Yes.
Okay, very nice. So now next one question would be how Sanjaya is narrating live scenes from battlefield to Dhritarashtra, as we discussed in the previous slide. Um, yeah, so would any of you would like to answer this question?
What's the question again? So he has been given Divya Drishti from his guru Vyas. So he has the power to actually envision the battle which is happening in Kurukshetra,
Yeah.
and that is why he has the abilities to convey each and everything, whatever is happening on the battlefield. And he's also the avatar of Yam.
So Vyasadeva is an incarnation of the Lord himself, and Sanjaya is one of the incarnations of Yamna. So,
Yes.
like indirectly, Yamraj is taking teachings from Krishna. He has already taken, and because of that empowerment, he is seeing that divinity. Yeah, very very nice answer. Good. So, any other questions till now, regarding the discussion which happened between Bhishma, like Duryodhana is trying to manipulate and maneuver Drishta, Dronacharya, and Bhishma, or any more questions?
Actually, just a question which is not totally related, but you did mention about chariot warriors somewhere in between, right? So, are charioteers are they allowed to fight in the battle?
No, not actually. So, when we started Bhagavad Gita, I also had to mention that Krishna decided not to fight in the battle, and that's because both of the sides were his cousins, but he decided to be the charioteer of Arjuna. So generally, charioteers are not allowed to fight because it's a very cultured battle. So in the next slide, we will see that now the next section of Bhagavad Gita, everybody has started blowing the conch, and different personalities are blowing their own conchs. So everything is carried out in a very cultured manner. It's not a fight between cats and dogs. So similarly, there are certain rules which are prescribed by scriptures for these standard battles which are followed. So one of the rules is charioteer should not fight. So that's why Krishna also gave this promise to both the parties that he will not pick up astra in the battle. So we are trying to keep our discussion Bhagavad Gita oriented so that we can derive some lessons from there, and we will not try to go very deep into the details of Mahabharata and battles, how phalanxes were arranged and all those things. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, totally.
Okay. Yeah, so we will continue, and the next section is how different parties blowed their conscience. So shall we throw any question? Like I didn't ask you. So till now.
Just one observation, Rajat Prabhu, just
Yes,
one observation.
yes, please.
From verse 3 through verse 11,
Mm-hmm.
there is only one person talking. It is Duryodhana,
Mm-hmm.
and it is not a conversation happening. Again, he is talking to Bhishma.
Mm-hmm. Hello, your voice is breaking. Actually.
Next verse 12. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only portion where Duryodhana is, talking in the book. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yes, Dhruv. Actually, only the first chapter contains the words of Duryodhana. And this is the only section where Duryodhana is talking. You are completely right. Because first chapter is like an interface between the Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata. So I'll just be back in a minute. There is an issue in the internet. Hare Krishna. Am I audible to you?
Yes, Prabhu, you're audible.
Okay. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this question is just like an interface between Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. So only here, some dialogue is mentioned between Duryodhana and Vishwadev. So rest of the entire Bhagavad Gita and the other scriptures will be like, especially in Bhagavad Gita, it's only Krishna and Arjuna, and various questions are being asked by Arjuna, and various subtleties are revealed by Krishna to Arjuna. Yeah, so we'll continue from it. So now the blowing of the conch shell portion starts, and all parties are blowing their conch shell person by person. And like you will see, if we will not recite, or we can recite that. So we will just recite what like when Krishna and Arjuna blew their conch shells, which is the 15th verse. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Pondram Dadmo Mahashankam Bhima Karma Vrikodara. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devdatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. अनंत विजयम राजा कुंतीपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरा नकुला सहदेवश्च सुघोष मणिपुष्पकौ कश्यश्च परमेशो अश शिखण्डी च महारथा दृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सत्यकिश्च पराजिता द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयश्च सर्वशः पृथिवीपते सभा सभाद्रश्च महाबाहो शङ्खान् दद्मो पृथक् पृथक् सघोषो धार्तराष्ट्राणां हृदयानि व्यधारयत् नभश्च पृथिवीं चैवात्मलोभ्य अनुनादयन्. So, translation of the 19th verse, which is the blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of the Dhritarashtra. So, so whenever conch shell is blown, its sound vibration is so purifying and pious that it shatters the heart of demons. The demoniac propensities, they flow, they keep flying here and there. So this is one of the like lessons and teachings. If you see the purport of 19th verse, it says, when Bhishma and others on the side of Duryodhana blew their respective conch shells, there was no heartbreaking on the part of the Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned, but in this particular verse, it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas' party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. So here you can see what is the power of devotion and devotees. Like they are totally confident under the association of Lord Krishna because they have taken complete shelter of Krishna. And on the other hand, the hearts are shattered by it. of Kurus because they have demoniac propensities in their heart. So that's why their hearts are shattered. And indirectly, Pandavas got very motivated, and the entire army got motivated by Krishna blew his conch shell, Panchajanya. Yeah. So this, so this was that blowing of the conch shell section, and so one lesson that we can learn from this section, that it's a very cultured approach to Mahabharata. Like they are not fighting like cats and dogs. They are adhering to the scriptural injunctions. And so one other example is like they used to fight only from morning till evening. And there are some instances in the scriptures that at the night time, Jarasandha was received as a guest by Bhima in his court. So Jarasandha was from an opposite party, but even the opposite parties used to discuss at the night time, and they used to fight in the daytime. So it was a very cultured event between proper Kshatriyas who have understanding. So similarly, like this is a slide which I put up for our lesson. But similarly, for cultivating Krishna consciousness also, culture is required. So we can see in the first picture that Prabhupada is paying humble obeisances in front of the deities. So Prabhupada is a very elevated soul. He can see Krishna and he knows Krishna is directly narrating through him, writing the scriptures. But still, he is paying humble obeisances because he knows that his eternal happy position is the serving position to Krishna. And similarly, you can see the second and third pictures where a person goes to bed early in the night at 10 o'clock and he rises early in the morning and chants his rounds. And yeah, so these are some cultural points which are very favorable for cultivating Krishna consciousness. One more thing is like we address each other as Prabhu. We try to pay full respect to each other because we are souls. So we pay respect to each other as souls and as devotion in our heart. So from the last two pictures, as some wise men have said, that early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise, and makes a man Krishna conscious also. So these are some things which I would come out from. Like, we should emphasize culture in cultivating Krishna. Yeah. Any points of discussions from this slide? Any questions?
No.
Okay. So now Arjuna is entering the battlefield, and just a so we'll recite the rest of the verses. So this is the 20th verse. You are able to follow both the devotees now in the Bhagavad Gita, what I'm reciting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hello.
Hare Krishna, Kishore.
This
Just
is Prabhu.
I'm,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So are you able to follow whatever verses I'm reciting from Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, we are. I'm also looking at the book, and just reading as you are reading along. So
Okay.
that's what I'm doing.
Okay, very nice. So we'll continue from the 20th verse. So, अथा व्यवस्थे तान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजा प्रवृत्ते शास्त्रे सम्पत्ते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवा ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदम् अमहीपते. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Arjuna Vacha Senayorubayorमध्ये रथं स्थाप्य मेच्युता यावदेताननिरीक्षेऽहं युद्धो कामानवस्थितान् कैर्माया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणा समुद्यमे. Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. So, as you can see in the 20th verse, there are four more auspicious signs which were taking side of Arjuna, like which were indicating that Arjuna will rise victorious from this battle. One was Hanuman was drawn on the flag of the chariot. Other was, as we have already discussed, the battlefield Kurukshetra itself was very auspicious because Vedic ritualistic and rites were performed in the Vedic civilizations on the Kurukshetra. And the other was the entire chariot of Arjuna was gifted by Lakshmi to Arjuna. And the fourth, and which is the most important, was Krishna was just besides Arjuna. So that is the most important. And like we can also read the purport of verse 20. So Shamitra, would you like to read the purport?
Yes, Prabhu, it is verse 20, right? It is verse 20, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay. So it goes like this. The battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory because Hanuman cooperated with the Lord Rama in the battle between Rama and Ravana, and Lord Rama emerged victorious. Now both Rama and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Rama himself, and wherever Lord Rama is, his eternal servitor Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. Thus, all good counsel was available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle. In such auspicious conditions, arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory.
Very nice. So this purport depicts that victory of Arjuna was very, very eminent. And like any other point coming to so I think we will do the discussion till this point only, and we'll carry forward the discussion in the next class. So one point which I would like to ask devotees is, what does it mean the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna? So in this purport, as Shavit Prabhu read, it is said, and above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. So anybody wants to give an attempt to this?
Lord Krishna's name is also Rishikesh, something like that, which means that he's the master of senses.
Yeah.
It is my understanding.
That's right. So actually, Lord Krishna is so Rishikesh, as Prabhu said, Rishikesh means one who gives pleasure to the senses. So even I think Krishna's name is what is that? Govinda, right? So he gives pleasure to the senses of the cows also. So Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and as we discussed in the last lecture, that he has a Satchidananda form, and through his spiritual blissful form, he gives pleasure to the senses of his devotees also, and to the senses of the cows also. So when a devotee is very, very pure and he is totally surrendered to Krishna, his senses are directly controlled by Krishna. So that is one of the things which we will like analyze in the subsequent verses also. But I think we will stop here, and we will cover this chapter in two instances. So one more question was Like, what are the auspicious signs in favor of Arjuna? I think we just discussed this. Anybody would like to elaborate? We discussed four signs.
Yeah, the first sign is Hanuman. Lord Hanuman was on his flag. Second, the battle was happening in Kurukshetra, which is a holy place and which is favorable for Pandavas because they are virtuous by nature. Third is Lord Krishna is there, so both Lord Krishna and Lord Hanuman are there. So it is the combination is in itself a sign of victory. And the fourth is fourth I'm not able to recollect.
The chariot was itself given as a
Yeah,
gift by Lakshmi.
from Lakshmi. Yes.
So all the auspicious gifts were given to Arjuna for this fight. Yeah, so I think it's okay to continue from next time, right? We have already covered 50 minutes. Or should we cover two, three, one more verses?
Prabhu, just one more point.
Yeah.
We discussed in this verse, in text 20, how auspicious, uh, Arjuna was, having all the, strong people, on his side. But, he gets weak in the, we will see in the subsequent section that, doubt comes, even though, all the, good things are, in his favor. So how can we understand this? If you have everything, everything is good and still, you are weak. You become weak. Doubts come. So how do you interpret this?
This is a very, very nice question actually, and this is very relevant for all of us as practicing devotees. Like, so, so first I would elaborate some things about Arjuna, like why this situation happened, and then I'll try to relate it to us, like we are practicing spirituality, trying to practice Krishna consciousness. Sometimes these situations come in our life also. So Arjuna actually is a pure devotee of the Lord. But when he was on the battlefield, so we will learn in the subsequent verses that Krishna brought Arjuna in front of both the sides deliberately because Krishna knew the heart of Arjuna that there are some attachments in his heart for his relatives because relatives were standing in front of him. He's going to kill them. So that weak-heartedness came by those material attachments. So basically, Vyasadeva also and the Acharyas also say like this that even though Arjuna was a pure devotee, but he was still placed under illusion so that he can pose the right questions against Arjuna, in front of Krishna, so that Krishna can answer them systematically and the welfare of all the living entities and all the people assembled there at the battlefield and later also like we are all discussing the Gita. So welfare is happening for us also. So there was a specific purpose for which Lord Krishna placed Arjuna under illusion. So both the things were there. So there were some material attachments, but like even so we will discuss this very very subtle question in detail in the subsequent verses of the next section. And these are some points which I can say from my humble realization that this these things came up in Arjuna's mind. And even like for practicing devotees like us, that we also have everything. We have the holy name. We can chant whenever we want. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we can actually experience that Krishna is there in that sound vibration because we feel the purification. We feel that we are doing something good. But still, when we are going through the process, some weakness comes in the heart, and some surroundings, some situations come because of which we become weak-hearted. So it's an ongoing process for us, and like that is those situations are basically very good litmus test for us to examine, introspect our heart. That yes, like something is there in our heart, which in the long run we might want to get rid of, like the contaminations. and we want to like intensify our devotion. So these are some points which will come into the like, was it any way near to what you like expected? So
Just one thing, Prabhu. I was thinking that even if you have all the material things, for example, okay, you have all the good things with you, but still if God wills, it the God wills prevail, and it does not matter material things. Okay, you have a good chariot, etc., etc. God is a fortunate on your side. Yeah, it's good, but still, if God wants something, that will happen. Like you said, uh, Lord Krishna wanted this to happen. So yeah, it happened. That's how I understand it.
okay, very nice. Uh, I hope you like Himanshu Prabhu also understood the context like, little bit.
Context of this particular question
Uh,
or in general?
in general, and anything you want to clarify.
Regarding this question, like why he had doubts. So, I mean, it happens usually with us also, like a lot. Even he was a so. I think I can't compare ourselves with the Param devotee Arjun, but still in our life, whenever we are dedicating our life to Krishna, it happens sometimes that even though we believe in him, but sometimes we do get in a state of self doubt, or you know, when we are not confident with how the results will play, whether they will be in our favor or not. But but the entire recitation of Bhagavad Gita emphasizes on that one should do his or her duty. So that is what is the result of this. So Krishna basically told him to do his duty, irrespective of the results, even though, and as rightly said, Krishna also wanted this war to happen because he had taken the avatar to finally make the victory of Dharma over Adharam. So this war was the outcome of Dharma getting victorious over Adharam. So, anyways, what I want to say is that even though Krishna, who was a Arjun, who was a Param devotee, he also was vulnerable to the situation because he was thinking from his senses. And Krishna, basically Shri Krishna, came and told him that you should do your duty irrespective. This is what my opinion is.
Yeah, I think you've already gone through Bhagavad Gita. So this is what exactly Prabhupada is also tell in the subsequent verses that it was only because of the material conception of life Arjuna asked all these questions and those material attachments was coming in front of like in front of the desire to fight. And like as you mentioned about the doubts and like not getting sure of something while dedicating our life to Krishna. So similar doubts came to Arjuna also, and he clarified in a very systematic manner. And we will like observe that flow in the second chapter. How like at the end of the discussion, after revealing the weakness of his heart, he totally surrendered to Krishna. Now you are my Lord, and you direct me that what is the right thing to do. So, like similarly in our life also, we feel this purification when we like approach a senior devotee and ask, like express our confusion, express our doubts to him, and he clarifies the doubts systematically. So it might take some time because even if you see for Arjuna, it took around in total all the 18 chapters for Arjuna to become totally enlightened and come to the platform of purification. So similarly, like it. Our life also goes in the same direction. Yeah, I think I'll pause the discussion now. And so, Shabitra, would you wanted to ask some questions regarding the MCQ?
Uh, Again, what I wanted to do was, that we, together go through the questions once, the MCQs, and maybe next week we can, discuss the subjective questions, so that we have, we understand each other's opinion and, what the right way of, answering those questions is, how to see those questions, the
Sure,
right
sure,
perspective. That was
sure,
my
Prabhu,
idea.
sure. And Himanshu Prabhu, have you gone through the first page of MCQ?
Yeah, yeah. I've like I didn't give you the answers, but yes, I have gone through the quiz.
I've gone through the questions already. So if you like, if devotees, both of you want, like we can discuss the first page itself because I did not like, give the next two pages to. So let's do like this. We will discuss the MCQs next time mm,
Okay.
before the class, and then even the subjective questions also we will discuss. Or is it okay?
Yeah, that is yeah, it's okay. It's perfect.
And if you want, because Himanshu only has the first page, so we can discuss the first page because both of you have the first.
No, Prabhu.
It's
The
okay.
thing
I
is that
mean,
let's do it next week. When we have done all the questions, then we'll get done with this. In this next week only. No need to keep keeping things in pending. For the next week, like that.
Sure, sure. So Himanshu, Prabhu, please go through the MCQs, and I'll forward you the next MCQs.
okay.
Thank you, devotees, for joining. Thank you very much.
Rajat,
Thank you.
Prabhu, thank you.
Hare
Himanshu,
Krishna.
thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Take care.
Hare Krishna.